The story of Esther is quite familiar. Everybody knows read it and story and understood it. So I just want to give an insight that I think is an insight on the whole story, but we already see it already from the very first chapter. The chapter begins introducing us to the king. He's the king of the entire world, organizing a big party. He's inviting everybody. For 180 days, he starts off with the leaders of the army. Apparently, he brought some big victory in the war, and he conquered some countries. And then there's a law. The first law in the book, anybody can drink as much as he wants. It's a law. And then this great king, who rules over everything, calls his wife to come, and he can't even rule over his wife. And what happens? An emergency cabinet meeting. What are we going to do? It's going to cause other people not to follow their wives, not to listen to their husbands. It's a terrible issue. To gather all the government and think what we can do, a cabinet, and let's take advice from The Hague, and let's call up the United States administration, see what they have to say about it. It's a very serious situation. This is law. And the whole book actually shows us in a very satire way what happens when you are enslaved to the concept of law. We see when the concept of law, which is a tool given to us to know how to impose in this world, to implement in this world values, when the concept of law itself becomes the God, instead of understanding that there's the question is what's the essence of the law? What is the essence of the law? Using the concept of law and hiding behind the concept of law, we can allow any kind of brutal, cruel behavior. And that's the concept. The fact that we see it again and again throughout history, that people have done the most cruel things in the name of the law. Comes the book of Esther and says, there's a different king. The king who says that the concept of my law have an essence and a significance. And people can tell us a law. You're not allowed to prostrate here. You're not allowed to pray here. You're not allowed to do things. It's law. What can they do? They have no choice. If a Jew, Muslims are such sweet people, such nice people, but if they see a Jew praying, what can they do? They're not going to be able to overcome. So they have to, it's public order. Hiding behind these things causes a very mix-up in the world. Our mission, especially in a democratic society, is to say that when there's evil, we have to fix it. You can totally blur your sight over reality hiding behind the concept of law. Comes the book of Esther from the very beginning telling us when you use law that everybody can drink or wives have to listen to their husbands, it is a totally misconcept of what Hashem gives us, the Torah, and he gives us the laws, but he says there are values behind the laws. It's not just the so-called the law, and that's the story. The story of Hashem wants us not to hide behind law, but to understand that we have to follow law in order to promote values, the fact that we are here to recharge our batteries and to be people that have the eternity of Hashem in our heart. And we hope to announce his kingdom over here in the world and to turn this place into a house of prayer for all nations, the source of the word of Hashem in the world, the source of the shalom, the true shalom in the world, and implement God's law, where law is just a tool and not the essence itself.